Music is about communication, and it goes both ways.
I'm Sarah Hicks, principal conductor of Live at Orchestra Hall with the Minnesota Orchestra. Anxiety has been with me for most of my life. Making music with others has been foundational in helping me feel grounded and whole. This is Music and Healing. Dr. Kelvin Lim is a professor of psychiatry from the University of Minnesota, who reminds us that some level of anxiety, including music that may make us anxious, can be beneficial to our well-being.
You may have heard of this thing called the reptilian brain, which is a very primitive brain, which is designed basically for survival. And that's where knowing that something is not right and being able to act on it can basically be life-saving. Threats that you may not even be consciously aware of, but your amygdala says, hello, I just caught this and I think we're going to pay attention to this.
Right.
Right.
So there's kind of an evolutionary advantage to fear at some point, because if you were being chased by a saber-toothed tiger, but do you think in the modern age, is there an evolutionary, disadvantage to a reactive brain, I guess?
My perspective on it is that anxiety can be useful. It can be motivating, right? You have anxiety about some final exam for the course you're taking. We've all been through that part. Mm-hmm. And so that raises your anxiety. Am I prepared to do this? And so that can motivate aspects of this. The challenge, of course, is when anxiety reaches a level where it interferes with your ability to function. When it can reach a certain level, whether it's incapacitating. It's a matter of degree, but it's one of these things where once it affects functioning aspects, then it really becomes shall we say, a clinical issue.
So anxiety, comes from the brain, as everything does, I guess, in human experience. But what does it do to the brain? What are the physical manifestations and also the mental, emotional manifestations?
Well, you may have heard of the fight or flight aspect. Mm-hmm. And this figures very prominently into the physiology because it's really hardwired into our physiology. If there's some threat, we have to gear up to be ready to address it. So your heart rate will increase. Your heart output also gets directed to places where it's going to be needed, like your muscles, because you may need to run, you may need to move in quick action. Very interesting thing is that during this fight-flight response, blood flow to the digestive system gets reduced. Okay. And in a chronic situation, if you have chronic anxiety and you have reduced blood flow to your digestive system, that results in digestive symptoms.
So it does really affect the whole system.
Absolutely.
It's not just sort of emotionally or
not,
in your head.
It's not. It is that. It is in your head. It's part of your internal experience. But because your body's hardwired, brain and body hardwired together for this, it also affects the rest of your physiology.
How can music affect the brain and the body?
Pleasant music has been shown to enhance or activate portions of the brain that are involved in the reward system. These are the places that release dopamine. And so these are where people have experiences of joy and pleasure. And there are other types of music that can activate the amygdala, for example, which is a key part of the fight or flight approach. But certain other types of music can also deactivate the amygdala. So music therapy is a field of treatment that's used in medical settings. A study was done in the ICU to determine what was the effect of music therapy for people being treated in an intensive care unit. And it was found that people receiving the music therapy, their ratings of anxiety were reduced. Work and also done in depression as well
Hmm.
that has found improvements in people's symptoms following music therapy.
Do you think your experience in music as a musician and also music lover, does that inform your practice, do you think?
It certainly reinforces for me the importance of music and the value of music. There's the personal effect that comes out of it in terms of one's personal experience, but there's also the social impact of music. To be in a concert hall, like here at Orchestra Hall, with 2,000 other people who are there for the same purpose of experiencing a concert is such a important and different experience.
It's powerful for us too, from the stage, to see an audience who is there for that one express purpose.
Right.
And
They're there for you.
right. But there's such a connection in that, the sort of, we're uniting our goals, I guess, in a way. On stage, we do feel when an audience is completely engaged. It's not verbal, it's not indicated, but somehow it exists.
It's a very strong nonverbal type of communication that occurs.
It is really powerful.
Be a part of Music and Healing. Engage in our collection of conversations and share your feedback at minnesotaorchestra.org/healing.